Gospel and homily for Palm Sunday, Year B. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. When they were approaching Jerusalem in sight of Bethphage and Bethany, close by the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent two of his disciples and said to them, "Go off to the village facing you, and as soon as you enter it, you will find a tethered colt that no one has yet ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone says to you, 'What are you doing?' say, 'The master needs it, and will send it back here directly.'" They went off and found a colt tethered near a door to an open street. As they untied it, some men standing there said, "What are you doing, untying that colt?" They gave the answer Jesus had told them, and the men let them go. Then they took the colt to Jesus and threw their cloaks on its back, and he sat on it. Many people spread their cloaks on the road, others greenery which they had cut in the fields. And those who went in front and those who followed were all shouting, "Hosanna! Blessings on him who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessings on the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest heaven." The Gospel of the Lord. Today we begin Holy Week. In ancient times, this was known as the Great Week. The Passion narratives come to life as if enacted before our very eyes. Step by step, we follow the path Christ trod through the last days of his mortal life. Like the people of Jerusalem, we too joyfully acclaim Christ as our King. He enters the holy city of Jerusalem not as a warrior king with a great army, but as a humble and gentle Messiah, or as it says in the book of Zechariah, humble and riding on a donkey. The donkey, as we know in ancient times, was known as a beast of burden. Christ, as it were, does the donkey work for us. In the book of Isaiah, it says that God had burdened him with the sins of all of us. Ours were the sufferings he bore. Ours were the sorrows he carried. It is also worth noting that at the time of our Lord, it was customary for a king to ride on a donkey if he was on a mission of peace, whereas the horse usually carried those going to war. In this sense, Christ the King will bring peace to all those who make a place for him in their hearts. His, of course, is also a kingdom of truth, or as Jesus said to Pilate, "All those who are on the side of truth, listen to my voice." The procession of palms today is not just pageantry. We take part in it with a lively faith and devotion. Even today, the triumph of Easter is foreshadowed, the palm being an emblem of that victory. The book of Revelation tells us that the saints in heaven hold palm branches in their hands. So we don't need to look back at a past event, but to future glory. Our humble prayer today is that we may follow Christ into the new and everlasting Jerusalem of heaven. The first reading speaks about a suffering servant in the book of Isaiah. The sufferings of this mysterious figure in the Old Testament prefigure those of Christ. His humility in accepting insult and derision is brought out in the second reading, and even more so in the Gospel, where he is mocked, jeered, and spat upon. So disfigured did he look, he seemed no longer human. Accepting all this with humility and for our sakes is the heart of his self-emptying. He assumed the condition of a slave. The Passion account, which we're about to hear, comes from St. Mark. It never fails to leave a deep impression. It sets us up and puts us in the right frame of mind for the Holy Week ceremonies which lie ahead. Thank you all very much for listening, and God bless you all.